Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Report, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
Now, let's look at some of the stocks on the move today in Europe. I'm Caroline Hepker and we're joined by Bloomberg reporter Louise Moon. Good to have you this Friday, where we've had interesting breaking news. A big jump in UBS shares because of what Swiss lawmakers are discussing.
Yeah, absolutely soaring this morning. They hit a 17-year high on the back of this news. So essentially a group of influential lawmakers influential lawmakers have proposed watering down capital requirements that the Swiss government have proposed to impose on the bank. So essentially, there's a few parts to it, but essentially it would allow UBS to use a type of junior debt, which is known as AT1 bonds, instead of equity to meet the capital requirements. And so essentially this is being taken as good news. It could, if it goes ahead, it could point to a bit of end to a standoff between them and the government efforts. And there's been criticism that towards the government that it's gone too far. So part of their these requirements are threatening to impose as much as $36 billion in new capital demand. So potentially good news for UBS on the back of this proposal, as I say, if it all goes through. So shares positive on the back of that.
Yeah, so some kind of solution. Obviously, this is the overhang of Credit Suisse and the worries that lawmakers and Switzerland has about the size of their banks and kind of exposure globally for those businesses. And yet the tension, because obviously the bank wants to be a kind of global player, one imagines. So this may be trying to resolve and find a way forwards. Very interesting. What about also in the banking space, Standard Chartered also gaining today? Why?
Yes, it's slightly different stories. They're gaining on the back of an analyst change. So Goldman have upgraded them to a buy. They are expecting improved profitability, the chance that it will raise their guidance on returns, and they're expecting this to come next year at full-year results or an upcoming Investors Day. It kind of adds to good news for Standard Chartered. So if you look at their last results in October, they raised their outlook there, they beat estimates. So shares climbed in Hong Kong on the back of the news. Obviously, it's dual listed, and then again also in London today. And it adds to the buys for, if you look at the analyst ratings, they've got 14 buys, 6 holds and 3 sells. So it adds to those ratings and strengthens that outlook for Standard Chartered. So that's Goldman Sachs upgrading to a buy.
And then lastly, Adidas. Talk to me about sales and the apparel sportswear business.
Yeah, so it's being seen as there's kind of two things. So one is potentially a bit of a ripple through from Lululemon overnight. Okay. They raised their outlook. They had new CEOs. So there's kind of hopes of a bit of innovation. There's a lot of competition in the space, but hopes that after a period for Lululemon sluggish growth, that things could start to turn around. And there's potential that has, kind of rippled through into the European market in terms of sentiment. There's also optimism for Adidas on its own. There's an interesting BI note that came out, Bloomberg Intelligence, that was saying they expect sales strength to increase and to extend into 2026. They're executing better. There's a lot of demand for their products, both classic products and new products. So essentially just a lot of a lot of optimism surrounding Adidas today, and shares are jumping on that.
The Stock Movers Report from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.